So one thing you talked about too, and talking about accountability and that connection, and you and I have talked about this as well. What is the primary reason why parents feel almost compelled to give their preteen or their teenager a smartphone, for example? Because I mean, clearly you've shared several examples as to why they maybe don't need it or shouldn't have it, right?
Or that they use it in creative purposes rather than consuming purposes. And really what we've got to do is put it into context, right? So first of all, I love your question about why do parents get their kids technology? Well, I find for two reasons, either entertainment or for communication. Okay, so parents, a kid turns 13 years old or whatever, and they're like, oh, great, now you're of age. Let's give you an iPhone because I want to be able to stay in touch with you.
Right.
Ask yourselves and ask your kids, what percentage of the time do you use the phone to actually communicate with your kid versus the time that it's used for everything else?
Right.
Most people answer less than 5% of the time. Less than 5%. So we justify giving them all of this access with a tool that's used less than 5% of the time. 95% of the time it's used as a toy. Right? And toys are okay. But because of the accessibility of this toy, do you allow your kids to take Legos into the bathroom with them and build Legos while they're on the toilet?
Right.
No, because that's weird, right? But they can be on Minecraft and do that virtually on the toilet. But that's weird, right? It's the accessibility of it. But what it does is it just takes that play, that toy, that relaxed state into invading every aspect of their life.
Right. What would you say, and you mentioned this before, what is the primary kind of the thing that is the most harmful to a preteen or teenager online? I mean, what would you say? Is there a specific thing that just seems to trigger depression, anxiety? I mean, I have my own opinion, so maybe I'll share what I think, and then you can tell me if I'm off base or not. But and I'm 43 years old, so I'm a little older.
You're an old man.
I'm an old man now.
Out of touch, right?
But even some younger parents, they grew up and maybe didn't have access to the things that we do today. But I compared myself to my peers, to the people that I went to school with.
Yes.
People in my church or my community. And so that was kind of the bar that we measured our success, right? If I was pursuing playing piano, or I was in sports and I wanted to be good at basketball, I'd kind of compare myself to the
guys around you,
the guys on the team.
And then maybe the celebrity,
right?
That gave you the ultimate vision.
You had the Michael Jordan, but then you had kind of your local guys in your high school and people that you played basketball with, whatever. But we've given them access to literally everyone in the world, practically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I feel like our kids are seeing these just ultra talented, super amazing 13-year-old or these kids that are their age that are just phenomenal at whatever it is that they're trying to do. And so that bar that for me was maybe right here where it was attainable was like, I can get there.
Yeah.
Now that bar is
way up.
It's almost superhuman. Right.
Absolutely.
And so that would be pretty discouraging, I would think.
For many kids, it is.
For many kids, right?
Or, that definitely plays into it. And it kind of goes back to the evolution of our brains and our, person. So, for example, we were built to be able to handle the social input from about, 50 to 100 people. Our circle of influence without technology is, about 50 to 100 people. Okay. And so evolutionarily speaking, our brains are built to handle about that much social input. But now we've opened it up, like you said, to the world. And we're dealing with social input from thousands and thousands of people, if not millions, right? The potential of people critiquing and sharing feedback, and it's just too much. That the comparison that you're talking about, the comparison has become dramatically unbalanced. I mean, comparison is helpful in some ways when you see, like, you're trying to progress and you see where some people are, you see where other people are, and you figure out where you're in between. And then you have that path of progression. Well, like you said, the in between is almost at the bottom, because what's showcased on media today? Everything spectacular.
Sure.
Right. And so it's like that bar, like you said, is way up there and you still see yourself way down here.
Right.
I think a prime example of that is one of my favorite YouTube channels, Dude Perfect. You familiar with Dude Perfect?
I'm not.
They're trick shot guys.
Okay. All right. Yes, I have seen those guys. Yeah.
And they're amazing because they will film something like a bottle flip and landing it on like a railing of the rafter in their warehouse or whatever. And they'll have to film this thing like 1,000 times before it actually lands. And their reactions are always like, yeah, like they're so excited because they finally got it. Well, you don't see the 1,000 times that they didn't get it.
Right.
That'd
be a pretty boring video.
That's a boring video, but you stack those trick shots back to back to back to back. And it's this like overload of awesomeness that's fairly unrealistic.
Right.
And so kids and people come away from this experience thinking like, well, I should be able to bottle flip this thing first time and land it up there and I'm freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
No, sorry. That's not reality.
Yeah. And that's probably, I would say, in my opinion, this is just my perspective, personal perspective, but as a consumer and user of social media myself, what do we tend to post on social media, right? We tend to post the highlights of our life, right?
Big, amazing stuff.
Hey, our vacation, or this cool thing that we did, or this thing that my child did, this great this talent that they have or whatever. Like we want to share the best moments of our life. We kind of cherry pick things, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
you consciously choose as you're looking at your photos from your vacation, like which is the most impressive photo that's going to impress people.
Right. Which one do I look the least
You don't
fat
look at it and go, right, exactly. You're like, where's my mediocre photo? I want to post that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't do that because it's designed to show off the best. And again, like I said, we're designed evolutionarily speaking to be able to handle the input from about 50 to 100 people. So if you have 50 to 100 people in your immediate, circle of influence, and, somebody went to Hawaii maybe this year, and maybe somebody else went on another cool trip. And you kind of think, yeah, that'd be fun someday, right? Well, on your social media, you got thousands and thousands of people, and you're like, everybody's going to Hawaii. Everybody's going on trips. I need to go on more trips, right? So that's this comparison that makes you feel like you're not, having as good a life as people because of the imbalance of how much influence or input we get.
Right.